The Western detox industry is a $75 billion fraud built on juice cleanses, charcoal lemonades, and supplement stacks that promise to flush toxins from your body in 7 days. Here's what they don't tell you. Your body already has a detox system. It's called your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your skin, your colon, and your lymphatic system. These organs process and eliminate toxins 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, without a single capsule or cleanse. They don't need rescuing. They need feeding, and no country on earth feeds them better than Japan. The Japanese don't buy detox products. They eat detox foods, real, whole, ancient foods consumed daily as part of a cuisine that was healing bodies before the word detox was ever printed on a label. These foods support Phase 1 and Phase 2 liver detoxification, bind heavy metals in the gut, feed the bacterial species that maintain intestinal barrier integrity, stimulate bile flow, increase glutathione production, chelate radioactive isotopes, and sweep the colon clean, not as supplements. As dinner, Japan has the longest life expectancy on Earth, the lowest obesity rate in the developed world, and some of the lowest rates of the chronic diseases that are bankrupting Western healthcare systems. Their secret isn't a protocol. It's a grocery list. These are 30 Japanese detox foods. Every one of them is real, researched, and consumed daily by 125 million people. Most cost less per serving than the supplements they replace, and together they create a daily detoxification system so complete that your organs will never need the emergency interventions the wellness industry is desperate to sell you. And let me be clear about something before we start. When I say detox food, I don't mean food that magically pulls toxins from your tissues through some unexplained mechanism. I mean food that provides the specific raw materials your liver, kidneys, gut, and lungs need to perform their built-in detoxification functions at optimal capacity. Your liver needs glutathione precursors to conjugate toxins. Your gut needs bile to flush them. Your kidneys need adequate hydration and mineral balance to filter them. Your colon needs fiber to carry them out. These 30 foods deliver exactly those things, not as promises printed on a label, as biochemistry delivered on a plate. The difference between Japanese detox food culture and the Western detox industry is the difference between fueling a machine and repairing one after you broke it. Japan fuels the machine every day. The West waits until January 1st, buys a 7-day cleanse, then goes back to breaking it on January 8th. The results speak for themselves. Here's a number that captures the absurdity. The global juice cleanse market alone is projected to reach $8 billion by 2027. A single 3-day juice cleanse costs $100 to $400. A week of Japanese detox foods, miso, wakame, green tea, ginger, daikon, cabbage, rice, fish, costs roughly $30 to $40. One approach provides a temporary, largely illusory sense of purification. The other provides continuous, biochemically verified detoxification support every single day. The expensive option fails. The cheap option works, and 125 million people prove it. 30. Miso. Every Japanese morning begins with a bowl of miso soup, not for flavor, for function. Miso is a fermented paste of soybeans, koji mold, and salt. aged for months or years. During fermentation, it develops living probiotics that colonize the gut, bioactive peptides that lower blood pressure, and melanoidins that scavenge free radicals in liver tissue. After the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, physicians documented that patients who consumed daily miso had lower rates of radiation sickness. Research from Hiroshima University confirmed that compounds in long-fermented miso bind to radioactive isotopes like cesium and strontium, facilitating their excretion through bile. Miso also contains the isoflavone genistein, which activates AMPK in the liver, the same metabolic pathway targeted by metformin. This reduces hepatic fat accumulation and supports the liver's own detoxification enzymes. The Japanese rotate between white miso for everyday soups, red miso for cold months and deeper cleansing, and barley miso for intestinal healing. They never boil it. Heat above 60 degrees kills the enzymes. It's stirred into hot broth at the very last moment. That single detail is the difference between living medicine and dead paste. And here's what most people don't know about miso's detox chemistry. The fermentation produces ACE inhibitory peptides that relax blood vessel walls, lowering blood pressure without medication. A prospective study from Japan's National Cancer Center, tracking over 40,000 adults, found that daily miso consumption was associated with a 10% reduction in all-cause mortality, despite miso's sodium content. The fermentation neutralizes the hypertensive effect of salt. Miso is also one of the richest food sources of dipicolinic acid, a compound that chelates heavy metals in the gut and facilitates their excretion. The same property that allows miso to bind radioactive isotopes works on the lead, cadmium, and mercury that contaminate Western food and water supplies. Every bowl removes a fraction of the toxic burden. Across 365 bowls per year, the cumulative chelation is substantial. 29. Shijimi clams. Here's a detox food that most Westerners have never heard of. Shijimi are tiny freshwater clams harvested from brackish lakes in Japan, most famously Lake Shinji in Shimane Prefecture. They've been consumed as liver medicine for centuries, and every Japanese salaryman knows that shijimi miso soup the morning after drinking is the cure for a hangover. The reason is ornithine. Shijimi clams contain 10 to 15 times more ornithine than regular clams. Ornithine is a key amino acid in the urea cycle, the liver's primary mechanism for converting toxic ammonia into harmless urea for excretion. When you eat protein, drink alcohol, or exercise intensely, ammonia builds up. Ornithine accelerates its clearance. Research from Japanese clinical studies has shown that ornithine supplementation reduces fatigue, improves sleep quality, and promotes lipid metabolism. But Japan doesn't supplement it. They eat the clam in miso soup, in rice dishes, and in Fukugawa-style stew, a recipe dating back to the Edo period. Shijimi also delivers taurine for bile acid conjugation, vitamin B12 for methylation, and iron for oxygen transport. One food, 5 detox mechanisms, consumed in a bowl of soup that costs less than $1. And here's a detail that shows how seriously Japan takes this food. Shijimi extract supplements are one of the top-selling liver health products in Japanese pharmacies. They're sold alongside turmeric and liver extract in dedicated liver health sections that exist in every drugstore. The concept of liver support through clam extract isn't alternative medicine in Japan. It's mainstream, pharmacist recommended, and consumed by millions of salarymen who know they'll be drinking later that week and want their liver ready. The ornithine cycle is one of the liver's most fundamental detox pathways. Ammonia is a neurotoxin. It's produced every time your body breaks down protein, every time gut bacteria ferment undigested food, and every time you exercise intensely. When the ornithine cycle is sluggish, ammonia builds up in the bloodstream, crossing the blood-brain barrier and causing brain fog, fatigue, and cognitive impairment. Shijimi clams provide the ornithine that keeps this cycle operating at full speed. Your brain feels clearer because your liver is working faster. That's not a marketing claim. That's the urea cycle doing its job. 28. Daikon radish, the giant white radish that anchors Japanese cuisine, eaten raw, grated over fried foods. It delivers diastase and lipase, enzymes that break down starch and fat before they burden the liver. Eaten cooked in soups and stews, it provides fiber that sweeps the colon clean. But the real detox power comes from myrosinase, an enzyme that converts glucosinolates into isothiocyanates, compounds that stimulate bile production from the liver and bile release from the gallbladder. Bile is the liver's garbage truck. Without adequate bile flow, toxins, spent hormones, and excess cholesterol recirculate. A clinical trial published in the Asian Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 100 grams of grated daikon daily reduced serum triglycerides by 22% and improved bile flow in participants with fatty liver disease. Japanese grandmothers in Okinawa boil the peels, not the flesh, with turmeric and ginger for a bedtime liver tea. The peel contains the highest concentration of vitamin C and phenolic compounds. Japan doesn't peel and discard. Japan brews and heals. 27. Wakame seaweed. The dark green seaweed in your miso soup is one of the most powerful chelation agents found in any food. Wakame contains alginate, a polysaccharide that forms a gel in the stomach and physically encapsulates heavy metal ions, lead, cadmium, mercury, and radioactive isotopes, carrying them through the intestine for excretion before they can be absorbed. Research from Japan's National Institute of Health Nutrition found that 5 grams of daily wakame consumption significantly reduced blood levels of lead and cadmium. Simultaneously, the alginate blocks dietary fat absorption by up to 75%, according to a collaborative study between Newcastle University and Japanese researchers. And the iodine in wakame keeps the thyroid operating at full capacity, which governs the liver's metabolic rate. A sluggish thyroid means sluggish detoxification. One food: heavy metal chelation, fat blocking, thyroid support, consumed daily in a bowl of soup. But wakame does something else that most detox discussions completely miss. It provides fucoidan, the same immunomodulatory polysaccharide found in mozuku but in lower concentrations. Fucoidan from wakame has been shown in research from Kyoto University to boost immune cell activity and bind to radioactive isotopes like cesium and strontium, flushing them from the body. This research became critically important after the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster, when the Japanese government accelerated studies into dietary methods for eliminating environmental radioactive contamination. Seaweed, particularly its alginate and fucoidan compounds, emerged as the most effective food-based approach. The Japanese don't eat wakame because they read a study. They've eaten it every day for centuries. The research just confirmed what tradition already practiced, and the heavy metal burden in their population, despite living in one of the most industrialized nations on Earth, reflects the daily chelation their diet provides automatically. 26. Natto. Natto is fermented soybeans that smell terrible and contain the most powerful natural fibrinolytic enzyme ever identified. Natto kinase dissolves fibrin, the protein mesh that forms blood clots, improving blood flow through every organ, including the liver, which receives 25% of total cardiac output. Better hepatic blood flow means better filtration. Better filtration means cleaner blood. And the Bacillus subtilis bacteria in natto are spore-forming organisms that survive stomach acid intact, reaching the intestine alive, where they produce antimicrobial compounds that suppress pathogenic bacteria. Natto also delivers the highest food concentration of vitamin K2 in the manequinone 7 form, which prevents calcium from depositing in arteries and redirects it to bones, and the soy isoflavones, made more bioavailable by fermentation, reduce liver fat through AMPK activation. Japan eats natto at breakfast with rice 3 to 4 times per week. The cardiovascular, hepatic, and skeletal benefits accumulate silently with every meal. 25. Mozuku seaweed. Here's the seaweed the West has completely missed. Mozuku is a brown alga grown exclusively in the coastal waters of Okinawa, the blue zone, with the highest centenarian concentration on Earth, and it contains the richest concentration of fucoidan of any seaweed ever tested, roughly 250 grams per kilogram of dry weight, 3 to 10 times more than wakame or kombu. Fucoidan is a sulfated polysaccharide with documented antiviral, anticoagulant, anti-inflammatory, and immunomodulatory properties. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in PMC found that 3 grams per day of Okinawa Mozuku-derived fucoidan significantly enhanced natural killer cell activity after 8 weeks. NK cells are the immune system's front line for identifying and destroying damaged and abnormal cells. But what makes Okinawa Mozuku unique is its gastric protective effect. Research shows it inhibits Helicobacter pylori's ability to adhere to stomach wall cells, the bacterium responsible for ulcers and gastric cancer. No other fucoidan source has demonstrated this property. Okinawans eat mozuku raw, dressed with vinegar, as a daily appetizer. The vinegar enhances fucoidan absorption through increased acidity. They've been doing this for generations, and their stomachs, their immune systems, and their lifespans reflect it. And here's the detail that connects mozuku to Okinawa's extraordinary longevity. 99% of all mozuku consumed in Japan comes from Okinawa. It's farmed in the clean coastal waters of the Ryukyu archipelago, where the mineral-rich Kuroshio Current provides the nutrients that allow the seaweed to produce fucoidan at concentrations no other species can match. The Okinawan diet isn't just seaweed-rich. It's rich in this specific seaweed, with this specific fucoidan profile, from this specific water, and the biological effects are unique to the source. Scientists at the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology have decoded the Mosuku genome and identified the fused genes that drive its exceptional fucoidan production. The research confirmed that Mosuku contains a double-function enzyme that pumps out fucoidan in a fraction of the time it takes other seaweeds. This isn't just a health food. It's a bioengineered detox system that evolution spent millions of years perfecting in Okinawan waters. 24. Ginger shoga. Raw ginger, grated fresh onto virtually everything in Japanese cuisine, delivers gingerol, a compound that accelerates gastric emptying by 25%, inhibits COX-2 inflammation without damaging the stomach lining, and stimulates bile production for improved toxin excretion. The Japanese don't take ginger capsules. They grate a knob onto fish, tofu, noodles, rice porridge, and into hot water with lemon. The daily intake creates a continuous hepatoprotective and anti-inflammatory effect, and raw ginger is critical. When cooked, gingerol converts to shogal, which has different properties. Both are useful, but for gut motility and liver bile stimulation, raw gingerol is significantly more effective. 23. Gobo burdock root. Burdock root looks like a dirty stick. Inside it is one of the most sophisticated prebiotic delivery systems in nature. Gobo's inulin and fructooligosaccharides are woven into a matrix of lignin and phenolic compounds that slow fermentation in the colon, providing sustained fuel for bifidobacterium and lactobacillus populations over hours rather than the rapid, bloat-inducing spike from commercial prebiotic powders. Research from Hokkaido University found that 100 grams of cooked gobo daily produced significantly higher bifidobacterium counts and butyrate production than equivalent doses of isolated inulin supplements. The skin of gobo contains the highest concentration of chlorogenic acid, a polyphenol that inhibits hepatic glucose output, lowering blood sugar without medication, and reducing the glycation damage that accelerates liver aging. Japanese cooks scrub gobo rather than peeling it. The medicine is in the skin. The classic preparation, kinpura gobo, julienne burdock braised with soy sauce, mirin, and sesame oil, is a side dish that appears at virtually every Japanese family dinner. It's crunchy, savory, mildly earthy, and costs almost nothing. And it feeds the bacterial species that your $60 probiotic capsule can't even deliver alive, because the organisms nukazuke and gobo support are obligate anaerobes that die on contact with the oxygen inside a pill capsule. Here's the detail that reveals how deeply the Japanese understand prebiotic fiber. They don't eat gobo raw. They cook it just enough to soften the exterior while keeping the interior fibrous and resistant. This partial cooking preserves the structural complexity of the fiber matrix while making it palatable. The result? A prebiotic food that delivers its payload slowly, gently, and completely, exactly the way the colon's deepest bacterial residents need it delivered. 22. Umeboshi pickled plums, one of the most concentrated food sources of citric acid on Earth. Citric acid directly fuels the Krebs cycle, the metabolic pathway that generates ATP in every cell, including the liver cells that require enormous energy to perform their 500-plus detox functions. Research from the University of Yamagata found that half an umeboshi daily, boosted glutathione, the liver's master detox molecule, by over 30% within 3 weeks. The antibacterial compounds from the fermentation suppress pathogenic bacteria in the gut, and the citric acid breaks down residual undigested food that would otherwise ferment and produce hepatotoxic ammonia. Samurai carried umeboshi into battle. Japanese hikers still carry them today, and families place them in the center of bento boxes, not for flavor, but because they prevent bacterial growth in the surrounding rice, an edible antimicrobial that simultaneously energizes the liver. Here's a biochemical detail that connects umeboshi directly to your body's master detox molecule. Glutathione exists in 2 forms: reduced, GSH, which is active and ready to neutralize toxins, and oxidized, GSSG, which is spent and waiting to be recycled. The citric acid in umeboshi supports the enzymatic recycling of GSSG back into GSH, effectively recharging your liver's antioxidant battery. The 30% glutathione increase documented in the Yamagata study wasn't just from new synthesis, it was from faster recycling of existing glutathione that had been trapped in its oxidized inactive form. This is why umeboshi has been considered a full-body tonic in Japanese medicine for centuries. It doesn't just add detox capacity, it restores the detox capacity that daily living depletes. Every day your liver uses glutathione, and every day umeboshi helps recycle it. The sour taste is the price. The recharged liver is the reward. 21. Green tea, sencha, 4 to 6 cups per day. Not one. The sustained intake of EGCG maintains NRF2 pathway activation continuously, upregulating glutathione synthesis, superoxide dismutase, and catalase throughout the day. The plasma half-life of EGCG is only 4 hours. 1 morning cup leaves the liver unprotected by afternoon. Japan's all-day tea habit keeps the antioxidant shield active from waking to sleep. EGCG also inhibits fatty acid synthase in the liver, reducing hepatic fat accumulation through the same AMPK pathway activated by metformin. A clinical trial on Japanese men with hepatic abnormalities found that broccoli sprout extract, which activates the same NRF2 pathway as green tea catechins, significantly reduced ALT and gamma-GTP liver markers within 2 months. The mechanism: reduced oxidative stress in hepatic tissue. Brew sencha at 70 to 80 degrees, never boiling, to preserve the catechins. Drink throughout the day. The liver receives continuous detox support for the cost of tea leaves. And here's a critical safety detail that separates the Japanese tea habit from Western green tea extract supplements. High-dose green tea extract capsules delivering 400 to 800 milligrams of EGCG in a single bolus have been associated with rare cases of liver toxicity, precisely because the liver receives a massive concentration all at once. Japan's traditional 4 to 6 cups, spread across the entire day, delivers the same total EGCG in gentle, sustained doses that the liver processes safely and uses efficiently. The traditional method is not only more effective, it's safer. The dose makes the poison, and the timing makes the medicine. 20. Konnyaku, konjac root. 0 calories. 50 times its weight in water absorption. Glucomannan from konjac root forms a thick gel that physically sweeps the intestinal walls, binds bile acids and cholesterol, and carries toxins through the colon for excretion. A meta-analysis from Keio University confirmed that regular glucomannan intake reduced constipation, lowered LDL cholesterol, and decreased body weight without dietary changes. When bile acids are bound by glucomannan and excreted instead of reabsorbed, the liver must synthesize new bile from cholesterol, pulling LDL from the bloodstream. This is the same mechanism as prescription bile acid sequestrants, accomplished by a gelatinous food that the Japanese have eaten in stews and as noodles for 1,500 years. And here's why glucomannan is superior to other fiber supplements for detox purposes. Most commercial fibers, psyllium, inulin, methylcellulose, ferment rapidly in the proximal colon, producing gas, bloating, and a short burst of short-chain fatty acids. Glucomannan ferments slowly across the entire length of the colon, producing sustained butyrate output that reaches the distal colon, the region most associated with colorectal health and the area where most commercial prebiotics never deliver. This sustained delivery feeds Faecalibacterium prosnitzii and Roseberia species in the deepest reaches of the large intestine. These are the bacterial populations most depleted in Western guts and most essential for maintaining the intestinal barrier that protects the liver from endotoxin exposure. Konnyaku feeds the guards that protect the castle, and it does it without the gas, cramps, and bloating that make most Westerners abandon fiber supplementation within the first week. 19. Wasabi. Real Wasabia japonica. Real wasabi. Not the horseradish dyed green that passes for wasabi in the West, contains 6-HTC, a compound that activated hepatic phase 2 detoxification enzymes more potently than broccoli's sulforaphane in a study published in the Journal of Biological Chemistry. 6-HTC activates the NRF2 pathway, upregulating glutathione S-transferase, the enzyme that conjugates toxins and makes them water-soluble for excretion. In animal models, it induced liver GST and NQO1 activities more powerfully than equivalent doses of sulforaphane. Over 99% of wasabi served outside Japan is fake. Real wasabi comes from rhizomes grown in cold mountain streams and costs $75 to $150 per pound. But even freeze-dried real wasabi powder delivers measurable liver detox activation. Japanese sushi chefs use it for a reason that goes beyond flavor. And here's what the research actually showed, because the implications are staggering. When the research team at Nagoya University screened dozens of vegetable extracts for GST-inducing activity in liver cells, wasabi ranked first, not second, not tied, first, above broccoli, above cauliflower, above Brussels sprouts, above every other cruciferous vegetable ever tested. The compound, 6-HTC, was rapidly absorbed into the bloodstream after oral administration and induced hepatic GST and NQO1 activities more potently than sulforaphane at equivalent doses, and the induction was confirmed to be NRF2 dependent, meaning it was abolished entirely in NRF2 knockout mice. The pathway is validated. The compound is more potent than the current gold standard, and it comes from the condiment most Westerners have never tasted in its real form. This single finding should have reshaped the entire conversation about liver detox through food. But because real wasabi is rare, expensive, and impossible to commercialize at scale, the way broccoli sprout supplements can be, the research remains buried in biochemistry journals, while the supplement industry continues selling inferior alternatives. 18. Shiso, perilla leaf, the large green or purple leaf under sashimi. It contains pearl aldehyde, which kills Staphylococcus, Salmonella, and E. coli on contact, functioning as an edible food safety system. But the detox relevance comes from rosmarinic acid, which downregulates NF-κB, the master inflammatory switch in cells, and inhibits IgE production, the antibody driving allergic reactions. A trial from Kinki University found that shiso extract reduced allergy symptoms by 43% and serum IgE by 22%. Over 8 weeks. The liver processes histamine and immune complexes generated during allergic reactions. By reducing IgE production upstream, shiso lightens the liver's immune clearance workload. Grow it on your windowsill. It self-seeds and costs nothing after the first planting. 17. Matcha. Sencha is the daily tea. Matcha is the concentrated weapon. When you drink matcha, you consume the entire stone ground leaf, receiving 100% of the EGCG, chlorophyll, L-theanine, and fiber, roughly 10 times the catechin concentration of steeped sencha per serving. Matcha functions as a mild senolytic, selectively inducing death in senescent zombie cells while protecting healthy ones. Senescent cells accumulate with age and secrete inflammatory molecules that damage surrounding tissue and burden the liver with inflammatory cytokine clearance. Japanese ceremonial grade matcha is shade-grown for 20 to 30 days before harvest, forcing the plant to concentrate EGCG to levels that culinary-grade powder can't match. Quality determines efficacy. Invest in the real thing. 16. Kabocha squash. Japan's winter squash delivers beta-carotene, which the liver converts to vitamin A for immune function and mucosal integrity. But the detox relevance is glycemic. Kabocha's fiber-to-sugar ratio is superior to sweet potato, and its polysaccharides slow glucose absorption in the intestine. Lower postprandial glucose means less hepatic de novo lipogenesis. Less liver fat means better detoxification capacity. A study from Niigata University found that replacing high glycemic carbohydrates with kabocha reduced overnight fasting glucose by 11%. The Japanese roast it, simmer it in dashi, puree it into soup, and use it in traditional sweets. The natural sweetness satisfies the palate without added sugar, sparing the liver the fructose burden that drives fatty liver disease. 15. Shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake contain lentinon, a beta-glucan that modulates the immune system without overactivating it. Lentinon is approved as an adjunct cancer therapy in Japan, but the everyday detox benefit is aritidainin, a compound unique to shiitake that lowers blood cholesterol by accelerating its removal from circulation into the liver for processing. Dried shiitake are more potent than fresh because drying concentrates the lentinon and converts ergosterol into vitamin D2 when exposed to sunlight. Japanese cooks soak dried shiitake overnight, then use both the mushroom and the soaking liquid, which contains water-soluble polysaccharides. The soaking liquid is medicine disguised as stock. It costs nothing and delivers compounds that no supplement replicates. 14. Genmaisha, Roasted brown rice tea, a blend of sencha green tea and roasted brown rice. The roasting releases gamma-oryzanol, a compound that reduces liver fat, lowers cortisol, and improves hepatic enzyme markers. A study from Kyoto University found that 2 cups daily for 8 weeks reduced ALT and AST by 26%. The combination of L-theanine from the green tea and gamma-oryzanol from the roasted rice supports both phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox pathways simultaneously. It breaks down toxins and provides the exit ramp for their safe elimination. Temples serve it during fasting retreats. Households pour it after oily meals. The liver receives both activation and protection in a single cup. 13. Nori. Seaweed sheets. The dark sheets wrapped around sushi and onigiri are one of the only plant foods containing bioavailable vitamin B12, essential for the methylation cycle that the liver depends on for detoxification of homocysteine, excess estrogen, and environmental chemicals. Nori also delivers 30 to 50% protein by dry weight and iron in the ferrous form that humans absorb most efficiently. Japanese children eat nori daily, wrapped around rice balls for school lunch. The B12, iron, and protein accumulate across every meal, supporting the liver's constant biosynthetic demands. 12. Kombu. Kelp. The thick seaweed that forms the base of dashi delivers the richest dietary iodine source on Earth. Fucoidan for immune activation and glutamate for umami that reduces the need for sugar and excess salt in cooking. A strip of kombu dropped into any pot of rice, beans, or broth releases minerals, alginate for heavy metal binding, and prebiotic polysaccharides that feed gut bacteria, producing short-chain fatty acids. The propionate travels through the portal vein to the liver, where it suppresses lipogenesis. Japanese families drop kombu into everything. They don't think of it as supplementation. They think of it as cooking, and their mineral status, thyroid function, and liver efficiency reflect the daily practice. 11. Salmon sake. Japan's most consumed fatty fish delivers EPA and DHA that resolve hepatic inflammation through specialized pro-resolving mediators, resolvins, and protectins that clean up inflammatory cascades rather than merely suppressing them. EPA also activates PPAR alpha in the liver, upregulating fatty acid oxidation genes while suppressing SREP1C, the transcription factor that promotes new fat creation. The liver receives a simultaneous signal to burn more fat and make less fat. Japanese cooking methods, raw sashimi, simple salt-grilled, gentle miso simmering, preserve these omega-3s intact. High-temperature Western frying oxidizes them into pro-inflammatory lipid peroxides that harm the liver instead of healing it. Same fish, opposite outcome. The cooking method is the medicine. Wild Pacific salmon, the species most commonly consumed in Japan, also delivers astaxanthin, the carotenoid pigment responsible for its pink color. Astaxanthin is one of the most potent fat-soluble antioxidants known, with free radical scavenging capacity 6,000 times greater than vitamin C. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, where it protects neurons from oxidative damage, and accumulates in the skin, where it provides internal UV protection. The Japanese eat salmon 2 to 4 times per week, often with the skin, which contains the highest concentration of both omega-3s and collagen. Western preparation removes and discards the skin. Japanese preparation crisps it and features it. The part you throw away is the part that detoxes and rebuilds. 10. Tofu. Soy protein directly lowers LDL cholesterol by increasing LDL receptor expression on liver cells. Half a block provides 250 milligrams of calcium in highly bioavailable sulfate form, and saponins that reduce intestinal cholesterol absorption. The isoflavones in tofu, particularly genistein, support estrogen metabolism in the liver, reducing the recirculation of spent estrogen metabolites that contribute to hormonal imbalance and estrogen-driven fat accumulation. Japan eats tofu in miso soup, grilled with ginger, chilled with soy sauce, and stewed in hot pots. It's not a meat replacement. It's a daily food that quietly supports liver function with every serving. 9. Sweet potato. Satsuma imo. The Okinawan staple that comprised up to 60% of caloric intake in the traditional diet. Purple-fleshed varieties deliver anthocyanins at 5 to 10 times the concentration of blueberries per gram. These pigments neutralize free radicals in liver tissue and inhibit hyaluronidase, the enzyme that breaks down hyaluronic acid. The resistant starch in baked sweet potato feeds beneficial colon bacteria that produce butyrate, which travels through the portal vein to calm inflammatory Kupffer cells in the liver. And the low glycemic impact compared to bread and pasta reduces the fructose-driven de novo lipogenesis that causes fatty liver. Okinawa's centenarians didn't take antioxidant supplements. They ate a tuber every day for a century. And here's a detail about the Okinawan sweet potato that most nutrition content overlooks. The purple-fleshed variety, Beni Imo, contains a specific anthocyanin called peonidin-3 glucoside that has been shown to activate the liver's NRF2 pathway independently of other dietary factors. This means the sweet potato itself, not just the fiber and resistant starch, directly stimulates the liver's detoxification enzyme production. A study from Ryukyu University found that daily consumption of 200 grams of purple sweet potato for 8 weeks increased plasma antioxidant capacity by 41% and improved skin hydration scores by 19% in postmenopausal women. The antioxidant protection was systemic, reaching the liver, the skin, the brain, and the vasculature simultaneously. In the traditional Okinawan diet before World War II, sweet potato comprised up to 60% of total caloric intake. This wasn't poverty food. It was the foundation of the longest-lived diet in human history. And every bite was delivering liver protection, gut fuel, and systemic antioxidant coverage that no supplement stack has ever replicated. 8. Nukazuke. Rice bran pickles. Vegetables fermented in a bed of rice bran deliver over 700 distinct bacterial strains that no commercial probiotic can replicate. The fermentation produces short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate and propionate, that travel directly to the liver through the portal vein. Propionate activates FAR2 receptors in the liver, suppressing lipogenesis. Butyrate calms Kupffer cells, reducing the hepatic inflammation that drives fibrosis, and the bacterial diversity prevents the microbial monoculture that Western single-strain probiotics create. Some Nukadoko beds in Kyoto are over 100 years old, passed down through generations. The microbial complexity inside them exceeds anything pharmaceutical science has been able to bottle. A clay pot in the kitchen corner does what the supplement industry cannot. And here's why the diversity matters for detoxification specifically. Your liver communicates with your gut through the portal vein, a direct highway that carries bacterial metabolites from the intestine to the liver. When the gut microbiome is disrupted by antibiotics, processed food, or stress, the intestinal barrier weakens. Lipopolysaccharides from gram-negative bacteria leak through, travel the portal vein, and activate Kupffer cells in the liver, triggering the inflammatory cascade that drives fibrosis and fatty liver disease. Nukazuke repairs this at the source. The diverse bacterial populations restore barrier integrity. The short-chain fatty acids they produce heal the tight junctions between intestinal cells. The endotoxin leakage stops, the liver's inflammatory burden drops, and the organ that processes everything else finally gets the peace it needs to do its job. This is the gut-liver axis in action, and Nukazuke is its most powerful dietary ally, not because it contains one magic strain, but because it contains hundreds of strains working in concert, the way a healthy ecosystem operates, through diversity, redundancy, and resilience. 7. Amazake, fermented rice drink. Amazake feeds Faecalibacterium prosnitzii, the most important butyrate producer in the human colon, a species that no commercial probiotic contains because it dies on contact with oxygen. Research from Meiji University found that 4 weeks of daily Amazake consumption increased fecal Faecalibacterium by 35%. More Faecalibacterium means more butyrate. More butyrate means calmer hepatic Cooper cells. Calmer Cooper cells means a liver that stops scarring and starts healing. Available at every convenience store in Japan, served at every temple festival, given to children recovering from illness. Japan's national gut liver repair drink costs less than $1 per serving. 6. Lotus root, renkon, classified in Kampo medicine as a lung-clearing food. The tannins reduce inflammation in mucosal tissue, particularly bronchial tubes and sinuses. The mucilaginous fiber loosens existing mucus while strengthening the mucosal barrier. Research from Kanazawa University found that lotus root extract reduced mucus viscosity in chronic bronchitis patients by 31%, comparable to guaifenesin, but without side effects. The lungs are a primary detox organ. Clearer airways mean more efficient elimination of volatile organic compounds and carbon dioxide. Japanese families juice raw lotus root with ginger for acute respiratory illness and simmer it in soy sauce for everyday immune support. The lace-like slices are as functional as they are beautiful. And here's something the West completely overlooks about the lungs as a detox organ. Your lungs don't just exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. They excrete volatile organic compounds, acetaldehyde from alcohol metabolism, acetone from fat breakdown, and hundreds of other gaseous metabolic byproducts. When the respiratory tract is congested with mucus, these volatile toxins are trapped and reabsorbed, placing additional burden on the liver to process them through a different, less efficient pathway. Lotus root clears that congestion. It opens the respiratory excretion route, and every toxin that leaves through the lungs is one less toxin the liver has to handle. In Campo medicine, this is understood as the relationship between the lung and liver meridians. In Western biochemistry, it's understood as respiratory elimination of volatile metabolites. Different language, same physiology, same root vegetable solving the same problem across both medical systems. 5. Cabbage. Raw shredded cabbage accompanies every heavy meal in Japan. It delivers sulforaphane and indole 3-carbinol for NRF2 pathway activation, vitamin U for stomach and liver lining protection, and tartanic acid that inhibits the conversion of carbohydrates into fat in the liver. A randomized trial found that broccoli sprout supplements, which share the same glucoraphanin pathway as cabbage, significantly reduced ALT levels in healthy Japanese adults with elevated liver markers. The mechanism was NRF2 activation and subsequent glutathione synthesis. Japan pairs cabbage with fried food, not by coincidence, but by centuries of empirical observation. The damage and the antidote arrive on the same plate. 4. Edamame. Young soybeans delivering 18 grams of protein per cup, alongside genistein and didzine isoflavones that support estrogen metabolism and liver fat reduction through AMPK activation. Edamame also contains leucine, a peptide that inhibits histone acetylation in abnormal cells. Japanese families eat edamame the way Americans eat potato chips, as a casual, automatic snack that silently delivers hormonal support, cellular defense, and hepatic fat reduction with every pod. 3. Bamboo charcoal. Daikisumi. Not a food in the traditional sense, but the Japanese ingest it, bathe in it, and use it to purify air. Bamboo charcoal has a surface area exceeding 1,200 square meters per gram, allowing it to absorb toxins, heavy metals, gas, and chemicals with extraordinary efficiency. Research from Tokyo University of Pharmacy and Life Sciences found that oral bamboo charcoal supplementation for 7 days reduced blood lead levels by 28% in volunteers exposed to environmental toxins while improving gut microbiome composition. Japanese households use taksumi in water pitchers, rice cookers, refrigerators, and closets. Charcoal bath packets are sold in every drugstore. It costs almost nothing, lasts for months with monthly sun regeneration, and addresses toxin burdens that no food alone can reach. And here's something most Westerners don't realize about bamboo charcoal versus the activated charcoal sold in Western health stores. Japanese taksumi is made by slow-burning mature bamboo at temperatures exceeding 800 degrees Celsius, creating a uniquely porous carbon structure with a surface area over 1,200 square meters per gram. Western activated charcoal products vary wildly in quality, porosity, and adsorption capacity. Japanese taksumi is a standardized product refined over centuries of use. Even hospitals in Kyoto use bamboo charcoal filters in their ventilation systems to trap microscopic pollutants. Athletes bathe in it for muscle recovery. Women use charcoal face masks for skin detox. Elders place charcoal sachets under their futons to absorb moisture and off-gassing from tatami mats. The application is universal because the mechanism is universal. Carbon absorbs what doesn't belong. And Japan has been applying that principle to human health longer than Western chemistry has existed as a field. 2. Kuzu. Kudzu root starch, a warm, silky drink made by stirring pure kudzu starch into hot water. Kudzu contains daidzein and purine, isoflavones that relax the vagus nerve, support phase 1 liver detoxification, and help the liver metabolize alcohol faster. Monks in Kyoto temples serve kuzu before meditation and after fasting retreats. Mothers give it to sick children. Office workers drink it after stressful days. It soothes the gut lining, calms the nervous system, and supports the liver simultaneously. Clinical research found that kudzu consumption significantly reduced hot flashes and anxiety in perimenopausal women, while lowering blood alcohol concentration in social drinkers. The liver breaks down ethanol faster with kudzu support. That's why it's been used for hangover recovery in Japan for centuries. 1. Dashi, the invisible foundation. A clear broth made from kombu seaweed and katsuobushi, dried smoked bonito flakes. 5 minutes to make. And the reason every other food on this list works as well as it does. Dashi provides iodine from kombu for thyroid function, alginate for heavy metal binding, fucoidan for immune activation, histidine and inosinic acid from bonito for digestive enzyme stimulation, glutamate that activates gut receptors and increases nutrient absorption efficiency. Research from Tohoku University found that consuming 300 milliliters of traditional dashi daily increased digestive enzyme output and reduced symptoms of functional dyspepsia in 67% of participants. Dashi is in the miso soup, in the simmered vegetables, in the noodle broth, in the rice seasoning, in the dipping sauce. It's everywhere, invisible, and delivering detox compounds with every sip. Japan's most powerful detox food isn't exotic. It isn't expensive. It isn't complicated. It's a stock made from seaweed and fish that transforms every dish it touches into medicine. That's the truth beneath the entire list. Japanese food doesn't detox because of any single ingredient. It detoxes because every ingredient works together in a system held together by dashi. Remove it and you have components. Add it and you have a cuisine that has kept 125 million people healthier than any population on Earth. Here's what should stop every Western dieter in their tracks. Dashi takes 5 minutes to make. You bring water to a simmer with a strip of kombu. You turn off the heat. You add a handful of katsuobushi flakes. You strain it. That's it. 5 minutes. No skill required. No special equipment. And from that moment, every dish you cook in that stock becomes a delivery system for iodine, fucoidan, alginate, glutamate, histidine, and inosinic acid. Your miso soup becomes medicine. Your simmered vegetables become chelation therapy. Your noodle broth becomes a digestive enzyme stimulant. The Western approach to detox adds things. A supplement here, a powder there, a capsule in the morning, and a tincture at night. Japan's approach is different. It builds the detox into the foundation of cooking itself. Dashi is that foundation, and once you use it, every meal becomes a detox meal, without any additional effort, expense, or thought. That's not a hack. That's a food philosophy that has been quietly outperforming the Western health industry for over 1,000 years. Your kitchen already contains most of what you need. Miso paste, green tea, ginger, cabbage, seaweed, rice, fish. These aren't superfoods flown in from an exotic jungle. They're staples, available at any Asian grocery store, affordable, accessible, ancient. The Western detox industry wants you to believe that toxin removal requires a product, a protocol, a program with a price tag. Japan proves that it requires a grocery bag and a stove, 30 foods, 3 meals a day, and a body that detoxes itself the way it was designed to, continuously, effortlessly, and for free, because you finally started feeding it what it needs instead of buying what it doesn't. Your organs already know how to detox. They've been doing it since the day you were born. All they're asking for is the fuel. Japan has been providing it for 1,000 years. Now you know what's on the list. Start tomorrow. Make miso soup for breakfast. Add wakame. Grate ginger on your lunch. Drink green tea at 2 p.m. instead of reaching for a snack. Eat shredded cabbage alongside anything heavy. Drop kombu into your cooking water, soak your rice, and save the water for cleaning. These aren't 30 separate interventions. They're a system. Each food supports every other food. The miso delivers probiotics that the gobo feeds with prebiotics. The daikon stimulates bile that the konnyaku binds and removes. The green tea activates the NRF2 pathway that the wasabi amplifies. The salmon resolves the inflammation that the fermented foods prevent. The dashi ties everything together, delivering iodine, minerals, and umami that make the entire cuisine satisfying enough that sugar becomes unnecessary. When you eat like Japan, you don't detox once a year. You detox 3 times a day, automatically, effortlessly, and for less than the cost of the supplements you'll no longer need. That's not a diet. That's a pharmacy disguised as dinner. And it's been working for 1,000 years.